If you want to get into this whole audiophile thing, but you don't want to spend an absolute fortune, you just need to buy yourself one of these. This is the iFi Uno. It's about £80, and in iFi's own words, it's the first rung on the ladder to upgrading your audio. Audiophiling is a very expensive hobby, or it can be if you fall down that rabbit hole. Thankfully, I haven't done that yet, but I have made some videos on various audiophile products. I know from having made those videos that there's quite a few of you guys out there who want to get into this stuff, but who don't have oodles of cash to spend on it. Let's just get straight into it. Right, I'm going to assume that you're not an audiophile yet. I'm not an audiophile either, so before all the real audiophiles come knocking and telling me that this is a terrible video and it's badly researched, this video isn't for you guys. This is for people who want to get into high quality audio without spending a fortune. And because of that, I'm not going to quote every single spec of the iFi Uno because one, you'll fall asleep, and two, it doesn't really matter. The iFi Uno is a DAC and headphone amp combined. DAC stands for Digital Analog Converter, and basically it means it takes the digital feed or the digital content from your MacBook, from your Windows laptop, from your iPhone, whatever it might be, and turns it into a signal that headphones like these can interpret. And everything from your laptop to your PlayStation, anything that can play music basically digitally, has a DAC built into it, but generally speaking, they're not very good. And the job of devices like the Uno is to make the sound better. The Uno is capable of playing back up to 32-bit 384 kilohertz audio, which is super high. It also has fully native DSD 256, and it's capable of handling MQA audio. Basically, those two things mean that this is a miniature beast. And those specs typically only come normally in fairly expensive DACs, so to get them in such a small and, let's be honest, cheap package in the best possible way is fantastic. It also has something called Dynamic Range Enhancement, or DRE for short, and that basically means that the recordings, or whatever music you're listening to, the original character of that audio is enhanced without distortion, without clipping, or without losing elements of that recording completely. It's also got a feature called Power Match, which is a little button on the front here, and you turn that on if you're using over-ear headphones, and you turn it off if you're using in-ear monitors like these, and that button basically changes the gain to best suit either one of those devices. It's also got a 3.5mm headphone jack on the front and RCA outputs on the back for amps or powered speakers. And finally, you connect it to your device, be that your laptop or your phone or whatever, via USB-C on the back, although annoyingly they give you a USB-C to USB-A cable in the box, not USB-C to USB-C. I personally think that would have made more sense. You might be wondering who the iFi Uno is for, and in iFi's own words, it's for a younger audience of between 18 to 25-ish. I don't fully agree with that because, as I've said right from the start of this video, this thing is for people who are very curious about high-res music. They want to know what it sounds like, but they don't want to invest hundreds and hundreds of pounds on separate DACs, separate amps, and I think that applies to anyone. That said, the presence of these three things on the top of the unit is quite telling, I think. This has three preset EQ modes. The first one is for gaming, and that's literally the first one on the list, which again does indicate who this is aimed at really. The second one looks suspiciously like a YouTube logo. That is for listening and watching stuff that is spoken, etc. And then we have a music icon on the far right, which is for listening to music. And you switch between those three modes with this little EQ button on the front, which audiophiles will hate. I've only tried the music one, to be fair. You can have the EQ off completely if you want to, but it's a bit of a flat sound with that. The other two kind of boost mid-range and boost the clarity of voice and that sort of stuff. But if you just want to use this for music and you're not a gamer, you're not going to use it for watching movies and YouTube, I wouldn't be put off by those three things on the top, because what matters is how this thing sounds. Before I talk about the sound, actually, just a very quick note on the design of this thing and the build. It's very impressive, actually. iFi makes some very nice gear. They don't mess about. This thing feels pretty premium based on the price. It's got a lovely weight, a lovely click, actually. That's how you turn it on and off, to the volume knob. The buttons are nice and clicky. It has these kind of sticky pads on the bottom, which stop it from moving around on the desk, and it's really cute. There's no getting away from it. I mean, if you compare it with their iFi Zen DAC, which is this thing here, this isn't a particularly expensive DAC/headphone amp, but it's about £100 more expensive than this. Look at the size difference. It's ridiculous, and the differences between the features of these is actually quite negligible, so it's amazing what they've packed into this thing. But in terms of the sound, it's worth bearing in mind that you will need a high-resolution source. I was using Apple Music to do this test, but you can use Tidal. Amazon Music have high-res music as well. The other thing you need is a decent pair of headphones. For this test, I've been using the Grado SR80X, which are a fantastic pair of headphones. They're only about £100, which isn't much for audiophile kind of headphones, so they're very good. However, I also recommend, if you've got a bit of a bigger budget, to go for the Sennheiser HD 560S. These are actually my favourites. The reason I didn't use these for the test is because, annoyingly, they don't have a 3.5mm headphone jack, and I can't find my adapter basically, but these are very good. Basically, if you switch between your, let's say your laptop and this will sound richer, it will sound fuller. The sound stage, so the width of the music in your headphones, will feel much, much wider. There'll be noticeably more detail. You'll probably get a lot more volume as well. It will just sound better. I did some A/B testing between the 14-inch MacBook Pro and the Uno, and to be completely honest, there wasn't a huge difference, but that's because the headphone amp and DAC in this very expensive laptop is pretty good already. But if you don't have an expensive MacBook like this, if you have an older Mac or perhaps a Windows PC or, I don't know, a games console, this will make a noticeable difference. And the great thing about the Uno is its size. It's really portable. So if you're the sort of person who wants to go to a coffee shop and have the best quality audio pumping into your ears, this is ideal. Is the iFi Uno worth it? Well, there's two things to bear in mind. You don't just use this. You have to have a decent pair of headphones and a music streaming service or a source which has high quality, lossless, high-res music, whatever it might be, playing to this thing. If you just connect this to a phone that's playing Spotify, it won't sound any different. Just bear in mind, if you get one of these, you might end up heading down the audiophile rabbit hole, and that can get expensive, and if that happens, please don't blame me. And if you want to see another audiophile based video that I made, I'll put one at the end of this video. Just bear in mind, it's quite a long time ago in terms of this channel, so bear with the quality. I'm always a little bit nervous about pointing you in the direction of the archives because it was a bit embarrassing. But anyway, I'll put the link there at the end of this video, and yeah, if you get one of these, enjoy it.